What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again this week. Super excited to talk to another incredible, authentic member of the Flipped Lifestyle community. And we may have the most authentic member of the community on today. It's Peggy Easterling. Hi, Peggy. How are you doing?
Hey, Shane. It is such an honor to be here. I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, I know. I think we had it scheduled once before, and like my insane schedule, like as it often does, messes up everyone else's calendar. So I'm glad we finally got to hook up. I've been happy. So here's my flow, guys. We're gonna learn how to do a podcast. I'm gonna give you a little micro lesson. So my team always gives me notes in the Google Calendar, 15 minutes. So 15 minutes before I talk to anybody, I've got notes, and what they put in there is they put in like a link to your website. They put like notes about how your journey is going. Even sometimes they'll copy like whole forum posts from our community forums. So I always have to like get my brain centered around my next guest because I've got like 3 or 4 podcasts back to back, and I talk to like 100 people a day. And then like, so I was looking at this, and I always click on someone's website so I can get a peek at what they're doing. And on your website, themindsetSchool.net is just this picture of you, the biggest, happiest smile, and right beside it says find your authentic smile. My face has hurt for 10 minutes. I've been smiling ever since I saw this, Peggy, so I cannot wait to share you with our audience. And I have a feeling everyone listening to this, you need to go to YouTube to watch this episode. Go to flippedlifestyle.com/YouTube because you're going to want to see this authentic smile throughout this entire podcast. So before we get started, Peggy, tell everybody a little bit about you. Tell everybody about your background, what led you to kind of your online business that you have now, and tell us what you're doing out there on the internet.
Yeah, so I am a married mom of 2 adult kids. I have the most amazing husband who loves me with all his heart. But so my story started whenever I thought I was going to school to be I was going to be an LPC, and on that journey.
What's an LPC? What is that? I don't know what that is.
An LPC is a licensed professional counselor.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So on that journey, God dealt with my own heart. I had just junk shoved in, emotion that I hadn't processed. And I didn't even realize the depth of it until I began that journey for myself. And really, I think so many people who go into these professions, they do have their own junk and they do have their own things that they deal with. But God really dealt with my heart from day one when I started on this journey. And so here I am thinking I'm going to help other people. And God's like, hello, over here. Come here.
I'm sending you to be a counselor because you need it. What are you talking about right now? Do you know how much I've been on a huge healing journey for like 3 years? Me and Jocelyn have, of like all of our like trauma from like when we were young and like how that manifests itself today. And like, I cannot believe all the junk. I love that word that you said, junk, because junk needs to be cleared out. It needs to be, but like we have so many things like in our life that like hold us back. Now, also too, like I had a really important relationship coach. His name's Will. He's actually me and Jocelyn have a relationship coach, and everyone's like, but your relationship's great. I'm like, our relationship is a relationship. It's great because we work on it, right? And but Will told me one time too, because I was really feeling down. I was like, man, all these things are so heavy that we uncover, and like they're hard. And he's like, well, they are hard, but like the person you are and the accomplishments you have probably emerged from the benefits of how that made you stronger, made you better, made you deal with something that you didn't have to deal with. So when you figure out these things that you got to deal with, sometimes the junk used to be like something that you used like to make something happen, right? And I don't know if that's like your journey too, but like anyway, like God was like, no, you're not the counselor. You're going to counsel. I'm going to teach you how to counsel yourself. So what did you find and what did you deal with and all that?
Yeah. So whenever I went on that journey, I realized that I've been packing stuff in all of my emotions. I never felt my negative emotions. I went through so much. When I was 8, I was sexually abused by my grandfather. And I literally just When I told my parents, they didn't do anything about it. I still had to go to my grandparents' house every weekend. And, I used to love to go out there and we'd play and have fun. It was my favorite day to go after church and play with my cousins. But pretend play had a whole new meaning whenever I was 8 after that happened. And I began to just self-protect every single time. We still went out there every single week.
Did they not believe you, or did they confront him and it stopped?
No,
or anything?
Neither. They told me that I couldn't tell anyone because it would hurt the family. And so we still went out there. We just pretended that nothing ever happened.
Oh my God. Did it I'm probably asking too many questions. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Like, and your poor parents, like nobody, I mean, they just didn't have the tools or the healing themselves to probably deal with that situation. And like, oh gosh.
Yeah. And so many families then swept it under the rug more than they do today. Today, it's more, let's uncover this as a family. It's more socially acceptable. It's still not there yet. It's still not where it needs to be. But back then, so many times families would cover up a little bit more. And I think today people are speaking out more on that. But so when we began to uncover this, we,
as an adult, you're talking about as an adult, like as you're going through this program.
I did not unpack this until I was in my 40s. And so I'm in my 40s and I realized, so since then, my dad had passed away of cancer. I was 16 and he was 39. I had lost a nephew to suicide who was like a son to me. He was 21. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I literally just began to unpack all of these negative emotions that I had just shoved in. And I didn't even know who I was. My identity was based on self-protection completely.
Did you put on the mask? Yeah. Did you put on like, cause you were such a, your face is so, it's so happy and like your smile is so big, but like, were you like the happy, cheery person and you just put that mask on to be like, everything's okay. like your whole life? Like, is that what you did?
I did. I put on that mask and I lived behind that wall of pretending there was nothing inside of my heart. And, I put on that, I would show the world that highlight reel on social media. I would show up like the fun mom at every single event we went to. But inside, when I would go home, I would only let people so close. And if they got any closer, I would push them away because I didn't trust people at all. I didn't let anyone in that space. And healing is in community. When you truly let other people in and you let these things happen and you say things out loud, there's community there. Shane, I promise you, the ripples that you're making are happening in my community right here, right now, today. The way that they are supporting and loving each other, it is so amazing. It is empowering to watch them, just the love that they have with each other, to know that other people go through things too. And their stories are different and unique. They don't have the same background that I do. They all have unique stories, but they all have stories and they all went through something, and they all have something to bring in that space that they need healing from.
I have an amazing group of people that I was just with. Like, we did a mindset retreat with some friends of ours out in the mountains the other day. And it is a crushingly authentic place. I mean, it's entrepreneurs. We come together. And that's what we focus on. We focus on the masks, the identities that we take on. We talk about all of our traumas. Like, it's totally out in the open. Like, anything you've got to talk about, anything bad that's ever happened to you. What was the benefit of it? What was the drawback of it? How did you hide it? How did you avoid it? How did you sweep it under the rug? How are you using it now to fuel you? Most people who have listened to this podcast, you've probably heard my story of how my journey as an entrepreneur got started when I was a school teacher. And I found out that a lady at my son's daycare center was abusing him, and it wasn't sexual. I always want to preface that, because Isaac and I have talked about how to tell this story together. But it was they were punishing him. They were locking him in a dark bathroom for hours at a time, right? And it was a lot of violent punishment was going on at this place, and nobody knew. And my entrepreneur journey story starts when I tried to get the day off of work, and my boss was just a real terrible person about it and wouldn't let me. She's like, your son's not in immediate danger. You can handle it after work. What are you talking about? Because I had removed him from the care center at that time. But that's my story about that. But what I don't always tell, because I didn't know about it until about 2021, I went to a mindset retreat and I uncovered this incredible amount of guilt. It was so oppressive when I discovered like how much it was affecting my mood and my life. You know, like I would come on the podcast and be like myself kind of, but like I would at home, I would look at Isaac and I was like overcompensating and I was trying to protect him from everything. And it was just really bad. Like I was trying to like give him everything and give him everything he ever wanted and never let him have any bad experiences ever again. And it was really like stressful. And I uncovered this guilt. And then this amazing worker, like a counselor, basically helped me like get through that guilt. And I've never felt guilty about it once since that day. And all of a sudden, like I felt like, oh, I've got to cry. Man, like when I finally processed that and I realized, oh my God, I was doing my best. It's not my fault. This other person made a bad decision and like, I don't have to feel guilty. Like I can look from that moment when I got back from that trip. And my relationship with Isaac has become this incredibly beautiful thing. Like we go weightlifting like 3 times a week. And like Isaac was processing like a really heavy situation last night. And I got to just lay in bed and hold space for him and like, you know, and like be there for him last night. And he's so open with me now and he trusts me now. Like he never would talk to me before. And it was because I was just I wasn't processing the guilt. I was compensating for it with a mask, right? Like I'm the greatest dad ever. I'll give you everything, you know? And like what you're saying is just hitting home so much, like, because like that story is different than your abuse story is different than someone else's. But until we're all in the same place at the same time, we don't have that trust and scaffolding that we need to get over it, you know? Like, so when you first realized, oh gosh, this is not my authentic face, not my authentic smile. And you worked through that. Like, when was the moment you were like, I have to create something to help people get in a place where they can get what I've got right now? Like, what was the spark that did that? Like, how did you find Flip Flop Style? Like, how did that happen?
So I found it through Life Surge. And
one of my speaking events when I came in. Speaking,
yeah. So I went there and just was really empowered by everything that I heard there. And I went in and listened to what you had to say. And I'm like, I can do that. I can totally do that. Now I was already
this guy can do it. Who's this guy? I mean, that dude, I can't even barely understand the words that he's saying. He can do it.
Yeah. So in that space, I was in school then. I was already enrolled. I was literally in the midst of the end of my own healing journey, signing up for your program and really at the end of just unpacking my heart to God. And I remember a day in that room, and now I'm going to cry. And let me just say, when we cry, they're tears of compassion for our past self that is a platform for our future. Because, you know, we stand on that and we stand knowing the healing that God brought into that space and knowing it's Him, it's His strength that we're standing on. He brought us. And when we stand in Him, when we are weak, He is strong. So I'm leaning into His strength and I can offer my past self compassion. But I literally stood up in that room and I offered the most compassion you can imagine to myself. And I just let tears flow down my face as we sang a worship song in that room. I was the only person standing and everybody's like, is she okay? Are you okay? And I was like, I'm better okay now than I ever have been in my life. And I know that God ordained this moment for me, and nothing in my life will ever be the same. We are doing this. We are going to change women's lives, and they're never going to be the same. Never will they be the same. And that's exactly what's happening.
Wow. It's so amazing. Like, I think it's, you know, I spend probably, Peggy, like, I don't know, maybe 80% of my time, which is funny. Like, because like a lot of what we do, all the work we do in the community and all the courses and all the trainings and all the stuff and all the stuff you do out of it doesn't feel like it. But I have to put 80% of my time into making people realize that they have a story to tell, that they have things inside of you. Like, what do you know that nobody knows, right? Like that you can offer to the world. And that's where I have to spend 80% of my time, so that people will make that tipping point where they'll join the Flip Lifestyle community, they'll get into the program, and they'll do all the other stuff. Like your work, that's 20% of your journey. 80% is all the other stuff you're building now. But like, that's really what I think about, like every single day. Like, how can I get Peggy? How can I get Coco? How can I get Seth? How can I get all these people I've talked to today is what I'm thinking about right now. How can I get Chris? How can I get these people to realize that all you have to do is start, and then you can let things build? And that's what you've done, is you took your story, you turned it into a thing that can help other people, because you've been through the journey. You can reach back and help other people now, and now it's launched. And like, you've launched, and you said you're literally helping people right now. Like, you've got, how many members do you have right now?
I have 4 beautiful women in my membership.
Amazing. And what you're tipping, now you're doing 80% of the first domino. You've got to push that first domino to get them into your program and to make that happen, man. And it's amazing to think that, like, I did not expect to cry before noon today, but then I started talking to you, and like, I was coming in for the authentic smiles, but sometimes that's on the other side of the tears, right? And like, and to think that you're like doing that, like, that's something that like I can teach you how to start a podcast. I can teach you how to grow an email list. I can teach you how to put the business together. I can teach you how to sell it. Clearly, you've got people, right? And like, but like, I can't help women like you can. And that's the cool thing about what we all have now with the internet, is the power to go out and use our stories to pitch our products, to go out and build amazing things for that. But I don't want you to just have 4 women. I want 400 women. I want 4,000 women inside of your membership community. So let's switch over to business mode now. we're going to take our cry hat off. Okay. Our authentic smile hat off. I'm going to put the business coach hat back on. Okay. So now you're getting Shane Sams, the podcast host. Walk over here. I'm coming over here. Shane Sams, the business coach now. Let's talk about that. One, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your avatar, like who you're searching. I think you don't really know your avatar until people buy your stuff. You have who you want, but it will crystallize. The universe and the market will actually make you serve a certain person once you start. You get to pick the initial avatar, but the avatar will come to you after you start working on it. So I'd love to talk to you a little bit about your avatar. I'd love to talk about where they came from. And then I'd love to answer any questions you have about how to get more of those people, right? Because if you're starting a business and you have anyone pay you anything, you have to look at that person and say, how can I go find more of those? So tell me about your avatar. Tell me, who are these 4 women? Where did they come from? And then we'll just kind of build on that about how to get more of them.
So 3 of the 4 women came from the Flip Lifestyle community.
What is going on over here? Little networking happening inside the community. Okay, cool.
They heard what I have to offer in that space, and they related to my story, and they are getting amazing things in their own mindsets in that space. Wow. Another one came from one of your ripples. I met Francine Ivy in your community, and then she referred someone to me, and that's another one of my members. So
were you on Francine's podcast, or did she just straight referral? Like, she sent someone to you?
So I went through Francine's certification program and coached with her.
Yeah, Francine Ivy, she's a speaker, an author, a coach. She's an amazing member of the Flip Lifestyle community. She has a website called consumedbythecall.org if you want to check her out. So you paid her to get her certification or program or whatever it is, and then she referred people because she knew about you. She learned about you, right? That's pretty cool. Awesome stuff. Now, tell me about these ladies. Like, what, have you noticed any like similarities between them? Any trends? Like ages, season of life? Like, tell me more about, because once you know your avatar, you can really market to your avatar, right? So tell me more about the 4 people that were kind of washed up onto the shores of your new business.
Yeah. So they're between like 30 and 55 in that range. And one common thread between all of them, since I found them in these communities, is that they're all entrepreneurs. So they're all wanting more in life than they have right now and going after some entrepreneur things.
Do you find that they are succeeding as entrepreneurs in spite of their traumas and things behind the mask, or have they already done some of the work and they've kind of overcame a couple things, so they made some success and they're like, oh, I want to overcome more so I can get more? Which one is it?
I think really they weren't starting. They were talking and learning and learning and learning and learning and not starting. And now they're beginning to truly dig into it and dig deep. And the breakthroughs that some of these women are having, you better watch out because they're coming for you, Shane.
I know, right? I can feel it. I feel the wave coming. I can see it offshore. Let me tell you this, ask you this. So there's a big thing in advertising called awareness. Problem aware is what it's called. But this is also a life lesson. So we're about to teach you a life lesson. Like, are these ladies problem aware? Like, you became problem aware. You recognize that this trauma that you had when you were a child you recognized it finally. Like, oh gosh, I do have a problem. Are they problem aware? And then they are like, crap, but I've got to solve this problem to be authentic before I can start my journey in entrepreneurship and stuff. Are they problem aware, or is it like literally seeking something's wrong? Like, the question that people would ask, like, if someone's problem aware, they would say, like, I would say, like, I know that I'm experiencing a lot of guilt from what happened to my son in the daycare center. Not problem aware is, I feel like something's holding me back and I want to start this business, but something's holding me back. So are they problem aware or not problem aware?
I would say I have both in the community. I think that there's been some of both.
Oh, you know what though? That's kind of like when you were like, everything's fine, don't get too close. Like, that's kind of like they're past that point, right? They at least feel there's something wrong and they're seeking to get rid of it to hold them, because they've got a goal, but there's a block, but the block's hazy and they know they're that. So they're at least aware of the feeling there's a problem. So probably I would say this is like, they're aware something's wrong. Basically, they're not still masked. Basically, do they have kids?
Not all of them, but the majority.
What's funny is I actually kind of was in my back of my head, I was kind of guessing that, because like when I see you on camera, I'm looking at you, or in person, whatever, you know, like you're glowing, you've got a degree behind you, there's a fancy bookshelf, like, right? Like, it's like, whoa, you're leading with womanhood, yourself, entrepreneurship, like who you are. And like some people, like when I look, they're like, you know, ponytail, giant pictures of their kids, like they're not really leading with that. Like, you're leading with your authentic individualism and self, and that's a part of your business, your life, right? And I was kind of like, I bet some of these people are not moms, because that's how you're leading into the world. All right, so let's go through first of all some strategy or things I'm noticing, because it'll be the foundation of how we find more people, because that's going to be our goal now, is how do we grow this thing you're starting to build, because you're getting results for people. You've had people come in. All right. So the first thing I heard is the most important thing I heard. They joined after they heard your story, right? Like, you came, even though you were in our community, I want to make it agnostic. Like, forget that it was the Flip Lifestyle community. You were in a space, like in our community, we have lots of member calls. Like, we have lots of Zoom calls, basically, where people are on calls. We also have forums, right? Where people can type out stories, type out things, and talk about what they're doing. So there's multiple places where you basically get a platform, or you get a soapbox, whatever. And I'm guessing what happened was, probably on a call, but like maybe in the forums too, it could have happened. You told your authentic story of how you got your result that you now help people get. They heard your story and they said, wait a minute, I want that to be my story too. Is that pretty much in a nutshell what kind of happened here with these first 3 members from the community?
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. So success leaves clues. That should be that you have to stop, and you don't have to figure anything out in life. You just have to observe. That's how you got to get more people, Peggy. Like, you've got to be on platform. I really want you to seek opportunities to be on camera. Podcasting is going to be probably important, but like, I think you need like you need to be on YouTube. Like you got to show, your glow a little bit. Like, cause if people see it, they're going to be drawn to it. But like, I think that like guesting is probably one of your top places you've got to get to. Like, don't wait for your turn in a community. Don't wait for a mentor like Francine to recommend you and refer you. Like, I love people who say, I built my business on referrals, and they're not trying to get referrals. Like, you got to find ways to get yourself out onto podcasts and YouTube channels, other people's, like get interviewed. And once you can do that, you got to learn how to craft your story. Like, I teach storytelling in the community, and I even coach this actually now. It's called, we have a program called Story Pitch, where I teach people how to actually craft their story to lead to a checkout page. So that it does it that way. But like, you got to get out and teach people or tell people your story. So are you creating content right now? Like, do you have a podcast or a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have both. I have a podcast called the Mindset School Podcast with Peggy Easterling, and I have a YouTube channel. I'm going live 2 times a week right now.
Right.
I'm still learning. It looks a little clunky because of my learning, but
I've been sitting here on a Zoom account with a $50 microphone since 2012. It's fine. It can be like, if you can tell, like if you're watching this on YouTube right now, like this newsflash, this microphone's not actually plugged into this wire. Okay. This is fake. I just put that here because my wire broke and I've not had time to untangle it. So we do clunky makes millions around Flip Lifestyle. Okay. So clunky's fine. What I want you to do though, is I don't just want you to create that content. I want you to leverage the fact that you're a content creator. Not enough people do this. As soon as you create content, you probably put yourself in the top 2% of the people in the world that are actually doing it. Like 98% of people aren't out creating content. I don't even know what the number is, but I bet it's low. And content creators love to connect with other content creators, right? Like even if it's just connecting, it doesn't have to be like getting on some, major platform. Like, you don't have to show up on, Brooke Castillo's Life School podcast or, Marie Forleo's YouTube channel. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, you need to go out and look for people who are talking about trauma, who are Instagramming about trauma, who are Instagramming about mindset. Mindset worries me though for you, because not the word, you can use it in your stuff too, right? But I think you've got to look for people who use the word trauma. You need people who are aware they've had trauma and are looking for a solution, but may not know where that is, to be watching these podcasts and listening to these things. Like, I have we have an amazing member of our community. Her name's Kathleen King, and she does a program called Primal Trust. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. So she started her from zero inside the Flip Lifestyle community, and she now has over 1,500 people paying her $97 a month. So she's generating hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, but she's very overt of, you have trauma that is destroying your nervous system, and we're going to fix it. Okay. So those words are going to be really important, like for what the people are looking for. But what I want you to do is, just like you found a platform in Flip Lifestyle, I'm going to talk about that in a second, how you got that platform, because it's really important. I want you to reach out to content creators. Go find people who are getting 1,000 views a video. Like, don't go after big people, and you need to collaborate with them. Like, YouTube, people love collabs on YouTube. Like, pick a topic. We all talk about the topic from a different angle, or I'll interview you on my YouTube channel. You interview me on yours. Like, you need to try to connect with as many as you can, these YouTube creators who are talking about trauma. It's a huge topic right now. I think it's one of the hottest online niches ever. If you've ever overcome trauma, your story is probably unique enough where you can tell it and stand out, but probably a million other people have experienced that same trauma. Like, there have been probably thousands of people out there, people listening to this right now, when you said that, your grandfather abused you, mine too, or it was an aunt, or it was an uncle, or it was somebody close to them, right? Like, that's a related trauma people are going to immediately latch onto. You got to tell your story more, just in front of as many people as possible. Like, I want you to set a goal in the next year to tell your story on 100 different platforms, right? Because if you set a goal like that, you're like, I've got to figure out how to get interviewed on 100 people's podcasts or YouTube channels. Then you can roll up your sleeves and you can go make that happen. You can even pay to be on people's podcasts. That's something too. Like, people don't realize that. Like, when I reach out to people to be on their show, if I really want to be on the show, I'll do some math in my head and I'll be like, hey, I would love to be on your program. I think I can serve your audience, and I'll give you $1,000. like rarely have I seen, or you can do like an affiliate. Like, if I sell anything on your show, I'll give you, 50% of everything in the first month. So you got to kind of what's in it for the host. You know what I'm saying? Like that's going to be really, really important for that. But when you do, they'll probably say yes. Now, I'm going to add to that. This is actually something I don't know if I've ever talked about on the show before. So you found something out of 800 episodes or whatever it is. The other way you got a member was from a mentor you paid. A mentor you paid. And in fact, indirectly, you got the platform that you got in Flip Lifestyle to tell your story in front of your first 3 members because you paid to join the community, right? I have a strategy that I use, and it's foolproof. It never fails, right? It never fails. Is when I want to get in front of someone's audience, I have a strategy. I'm letting the cat out of the bag. I don't know if I should tell anybody this because now everyone's going to like see what's going on. What I do is I will figure out who they are. Like, let's say it's Pat Flynn, okay, the Smart Passive Income podcast, one of the biggest podcasts ever for business. When I first heard of Pat on his podcast, I would send emails to him. I would go tag him on Facebook and Twitter, and I would do all the little things, whatever. Whatever, didn't really matter. But then when I found out Pat had a program, he had a live event that he was doing for 20 people. It's going to be thousands of dollars to attend. But I was like, well, wait a minute. I want to know this guy. I want to learn from this guy. I truly respect him. And on top of that, I really want to be on his podcast, right? So like, I thought of a strategy. I will buy his program. First, I will become his best student. If possible, I will become his best testimonial. And then he will have no choice but to brag on how much he did for me. And I feel like this is what happened with Francine. You came in, you were amazing, you got a platform, she referred someone to you. I feel like this is what happened with Flip Lifestyle. You came in, you went all in, and boom. I feel like it's what happened when you got certified to be a counselor or whatever. You're like, you became like the best person, the best spokesman for this thing, right? Like, it's like, this is a great strategy, guys. I'm telling you, it is almost foolproof if you're willing to go crush it for the person. Like, if you will go buy someone's training or buy their thing and then become a true student and testimonial of them, they cannot not put you on their podcast. They cannot not put you on their YouTube channel, because why in the world would I not want my best student, biggest fan, awesome testimonial on my podcast? Like, honestly, secretly, the 800 to 1,000 people that have been on the Flip Lifestyle podcast, like when I figured this out and I launched Flip Lifestyle, I was like, I'm going to do this for my people. The people who join Flip Lifestyle and work the hardest and become the best stories and become the best testimonials get to be on the show. Like, I didn't charge you to be on this podcast, Peggy, right now, but you joined the program and you became one of our best students. You got a testimonial. So why would I not say, look what Flip Lifestyle did for Peggy? This is amazing. This is what it can do for you. So like, if you write down 100 podcasts and YouTube channels that are talking about trauma and getting better, and you see that, you can go to every one of their websites. The first thing I would do to research them is, do they have a course for sale? Do they have a membership? Do they have a product? Do they have counseling? Do they have a coaching session? That's even better because you get one-on-one time with them. Pay for it. Get to know them. Use it. And you'll be shocked at how fast that you will end up in these people's orbit. So there, like, what do you think about that as a strategy? Like, get on people's platforms by connecting with them through what they teach and learning from them. And now you get better. And then you do that. Like, how does that sound?
I love it, because while I'm there, I'm going to find that woman that's on the basement floor that needs my help. Yes. She's going to be there. But I also am challenging myself at the same time. I've got 100 that I'm going to do in a year, and I'll see you in 365 days, because I'm going to be back and I'm going to be better than ever.
See, now you've seen through the smoke. Now you know you've seen behind the curtain. You're like, wait a minute. If I want to come back on the Flip Lifestyle podcast, Shane just gave me a tip. I got to go become the best testimonial before all these other yahoos out here listening to the podcast do this. And I got to go back on the show. That's amazing. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. All right. So, okay. So that was actually pretty intense. So let's do this. Let's set some next steps. Okay. So the first step in this that you need to do is go search for trauma on YouTube and maybe trauma in podcasts on the search engines, and go and look. I would really look for creators that are not huge. I would look for ones that, because you got to start small. It's going to be 25 at first. I really want you to think about video, because you just need to be on video as much as possible. All right. Because people will see that you're not wearing a mask. I think that's just really important for your brand. Right. And then, so write those 25 down. Then I want you to go step 2 for everybody listening at home. Write this down, pull over, is go to each of their actual websites and look for something for sale. Okay. Look for something for sale. This, you can also on YouTube, if you'll open the description on the see more thing, people often will put their products right there in the comment section or the description. It might be in the first comment. Some people do that. You can also, as we'll go watch a whole podcast of each of these two, like put some time into this so you can get a feel for their show. You may not want to talk to them, it may look good, but then you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So listen to their show, watch a video, find their products. Then to narrow this down at first, okay, spend pick 5 for the first month. And I want you to basically, like, the 5 you really want to connect with that have something for sale, go buy their thing. And then I want you to email them at their customer support email, watch it, write down things you like, and I want you to tell them what you like about the program. Don't say anything right then, okay? What you like about the program. Then I want you, once you get into their program a little bit, you kind of look at it, and then I want you to send a second email through customer support if you don't get their direct comments. Then I want you to say, hey, I have a podcast, I have a YouTube channel, I love what you're doing. I don't say I like your podcast, say I like your training that I bought. Right? Let them know you're a customer, and then you bring them onto your show and you connect with them for like an hour on your show. You're going to get great content. Anybody that searches for them, they're going to find you too. And then we're just going to seed reciprocity for a while. Okay. Then when you really hammer, maybe you find something you really like. Once you hammer something like one of the 5, you're going to be like, wow, I used that tip in my own membership. That's amazing. You're going to send them back another email that says, hey, I got a great result from this. And it was absolutely amazing. I'd love to, I get great results from my people too. Do you think that we could do another collab and maybe we could do a YouTube swap? I would love to come serve your audience as a thank you for you serving me through this product you bought. And then some of them will say yes. And once you get 2 or 3 yeses, it becomes much easier because as you build these yeses up through the strategy, your emails will change. When you get to the point where you ask to do the collaboration, where you have them back on your show, and then they'll have you on theirs, you can say things like, I've done collabs with Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, whoever it is, like my people. I'm just naming people I've done it with. And then your street cred starts building, and you actually can drop links to these videos. And then you can figure out, there's actually really tactical things you can do. Like you can figure out like if people are rivals with another person. Well, yeah, I had them on my show. Don't you want to be on my show? Right. And you can like kind of see like how the community organizes itself. Or like people will just like want to be on your show because it'll get big enough because of all these guests. So I've never named that strategy. I guess I call it the best testimonial strategy. That's Shane Sam's best testimonial strategy, trademark patent. Everyone has to write it down, my name on it from now on. But like that's how I do it. That's how people are always like, how do you know everyone? Like, how are you on all these podcasts? Like, how do you get these amazing guests on the Shane Sam show when the seasons are live? Like, and that's it. That's what I do. I become students of them, and I do what they say, and I get results, and I'm thankful and I'm grateful for it. And then I want to go serve their audience with what I know now. And because they can see I'm genuine and real and I do the work, they're happy to let me on their podcast. Does that sound like a good plan?
It's a great plan.
Awesome.
I'm going for it.
All right, we're going to do it. All right. So real quick, anybody out there, any ladies out there that want to find your authentic smile and take these masks off, and you've maybe suffered from trauma and you want to remove the mask, tear down the walls and move forward in their real identity, right? Was that not a great pitch for your product that I just gave right there? Like, tell everybody where they can find you online.
Yeah, they can find me at the mindsetschool.net/quiz, where I have the breakthrough quiz. You can go take it to see where you're at on your breakthrough journey.
Awesome stuff. Everybody go there. And thank you so much. I love it when I get to cry during the day. I love the emotion to come out of my body and cry. So you let me cry today, and I'm very grateful because it's going to let me smile the rest of the day. So Peggy, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Shane.
All right, guys, that wraps up my interview with Peggy Easterling of the mindsetschool.net, one of our amazing students inside of the Flip Lifestyle community. That's how she got on the show. She became a member of the community. She took action. She started making money. She started helping people. And when we see that happen inside our community, we bring them on the podcast so we can help them get to the next level. We record it so you can listen in and you can get some tips, strategy, and tactics so you can do the same. And our ultimate goal is for you to be inside the community with Peggy. We want to help you activate your greatness. We want you to rip off masks. We want you to go help other people rip off their mask too. You can offer the world things I can't do. I'm trying to equip you to use your God-given gifts to pick up your stone, cast it out upon the waters, cause a lot of ripples, and help people that need your help, that need what you have to offer right now. And the only way we can do that is to get you in the community. So if you want to learn more about how you can join Peggy in the community, maybe find your first members inside there, and also learn how to start, build, and grow an online income stream of your own with things you already have. Guys, everything you're looking for is right in front of you. It's in your field of view. You just have to reach out and see it and take it. You can do that over at flippedlifestyle.com. That's FLIPPED lifestyle.com. We want to flip your life upside down with online business so we can change your life and change your family's future. Head over to flippedlifestyle.com and check out all the cool free resources we have and check out our community as well. That's all the time I have for this week's Flipped Lifestyle podcast, guys. It's been a pleasure to be with you in your earbuds today. Until I see you again, get out there. Nothing happens until you take action. And if you take action, maybe someday you'll get to flip your life. We'll see you then.